Hell yeah, cold open on a sneeze.
True. Hello and welcome to Culture Illiterate, a podcast where four friends overthink movies about cars and family. I'm Jake and I spell ice with two S's.
What?
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 Well, I'm Jason, and I spell Jason with one S.
Well, that's probably a good thing.
I'm Matt. Hi. I like Animal
Matt.
Crossing.
Is that what you're doing right now, Matt?
I was. Not too long ago.
Well, you know what? My name's Sean, and I spell my name also with one S, and if you included the rest of my name, it is still only spelled with one S.
Unless you want to put two S's in Sean.
Unless you'd like to add more S's, then it's fine.
It could be Sean.
Because I'm a silly boy.
The S thing was supposed to be referring to Nazis.
What?
The SS, Matt?
Yeah, I picked up on it after the fact. I just didn't realize we were making political statements on our movie podcast where we talk about Fast and Furious.
Well, I don't think that's a political statement. I think that's a basic human decency thing. I just wanted to say that because at this point we were getting into the territory of Sean saying you could into Sean being a Nazi, and I just wanted to nip that in the bud.
Well,
I did not think that whatsoever.
I said I was a silly boy. Not a,
I'm not Sean. The joke was adding more S's. It was an SS.
I just said you can add more S's to my name if you want.
Exactly.
I'm not going.
I was
That's
calling immigration custom enforcement's Nazis. That was the. I mean, it's not really a joke. I think they're pieces of shit. But it was getting so off the rails that I was like, this could get dangerous.
And now you made it even more off the rails, and now it's even more funny.
Well, no,
Jake had to recenter the white knight statement of the episode.
Exactly, baby.
That's getting cut.
Jesus Christ.
That just said something that I cut right out. You guys, nobody knows. Subscribe to the Patreon if you want to hear uncut. Matt gets in trouble on the internet version. Release the long cut.
Release the long cut. Release the cancel cut.
Man,
I think I love the long cut better. It sounds more special.
Matt Wong uncut.
Just like his brother.
Hey, that's for my brother. I need to make sure everybody knows that I am cut.
And if you want to see that again, you gotta subscribe to the Patreon.
Oh, you're gonna cut that too? Just like my penis.
No, the joke was that if they want to see your penis, they have to subscribe.
Oh.
I think Sean introduced himself because I thought he was going to be telling us something about being a National Socialist.
Hell yeah.
Okay,
hell yeah, brother. I am a socialist.
We're all circumcised and we all don't like Nazis. Anyone got some Rex or some story time? I mean, that's just, I'm never good at transitions, but this one I'm just really.
This one's a special one.
I want to say something, Jake. It's always when you want to prevent us from sidetracking that it gets even more sidetracked. It gets even worse.
Do you want to talk about your dick more, Matt?
Yes.
Oh, go
for it. That's
Matt's unlike
dick.
you.
I'm waiting, Matt.
I talk about how my penis is uncircumcised and my brother's is, and I thought his penis was malformed.
You just said the opposite. You just said you were uncircumcised.
Oh, whoops. See, okay, it's been a long day.
You know what else is long?
My penis.
Matt's penis.
Yeah, you asked if we have any recommendations or stories. I recommend Matt's penis. And my story is that I like Matt's penis.
The story is that you made love.
The story is that I saw Matt's penis.
It's a love story, and it's between me and Matt's penis.
Matt Wong, more like Matt Schlong.
Hey.
Is that racist?
I want Matt Schlong. I want Matt Schlong.
So.
Who cares?
I don't give a shit.
Trump won.
Me, I'm the white knight.
Oh my god.
We're good. We're good today.
I'm sorry, Jake. I almost said it again.
I almost said it again.
Oh, okay.
Matt hears the word white and immediately is like, I have to be racist.
Well, I wasn't even sure if I was actually gonna cut it, but I think at this point it's significantly funnier if I keep it cut.
Just keep him in the dark.
Like
Exactly. Well, people are gonna assume the worst. And that
Matt said the worst possible word you can at any given time.
that's
no.
That's not true. He said two words.
It's the worst two words you could ever combine.
He said two words and not the ones you think. Jesus.
Dear God.
God.
Yeah, it was Dear God.
It's Jason Bourne.
Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne. Jesus Christ, it's Jason.
He's born.
He was
born. That's what they said.
That would have been 10 times better if you said that instead of I'm your uncle.
Oh, yes. For the uninitiated, I don't think we've talked about this on the podcast before. When my mom was pregnant with Jason, I didn't understand what familiar relations were, so I always said I was his Uncle Jacob. Because I don't know.
Probably his first words to me.
I don't know. I mean,
assume.
that doesn't hold a candle to what I called you when you were a baby.
What?
You don't remember?
You called me butt plug.
No, well, plug butt. I called you plug butt, which is close enough. But
you called me butt plug, and that's fucked up and perverted.
Yeah, when Jason was a baby, they would sit on the drain of the tub to keep it from draining when getting bathed. So I called it
good in my rectum.
Oh, so it's not because he didn't come out of your mom's vagina. Jason was a real life butt plug.
No. Well, he called me plug butt, and then years later, I became known as butt plug for very different reasons.
This is never gonna get on track, is it? So, you know what? I'll bring it on track. I have a recommendation that's
someone else gets to be the bad guy.
A normal thing. I saw the movie The Life of Chuck. It was very good, very sweet. Also very stressful in the beginning of it. Mostly because, like, it starts with, like, everything around us is dying from realistic things, and it's just like, I deal with this enough outside. I don't need it in here. So yeah, I that's a recommendation I have. I feel like I had something else to recommend, but for now I'm gonna keep it to that.
I also have a recommendation. I watched, for those who have Apple TV, there's a show called Murderbot. That's pretty cool. It's a pretty good show. You get to see a robot gain sentience and basically learn what it means to be human. It sounds like a stereotypical, like gain sentience robot story, but it's a lot deeper than that because he's extremely cruel, and it's also really funny. It's a really funny show. And there are more dilemmas that it presents that are actually very interesting. And yeah, I recommend it. It's on Apple TV. Also, to
Oh,
pirate
that's good.
if you need to.
I don't have Apple TV.
Hi ho.
Hi ho.
Recommend something else.
Recommend something else.
I'll recommend something that I know you want to see, the Phoenician Scheme.
Jake, shove it up your ass.
Why?
What?
What the fuck?
So out, that's so left field.
You like Wes Anderson?
I know, but that's not a new rec to me. That's not really a recommendation to me because I'm already gonna see it.
I know, but it's a rec for the podcast. It's
No,
not about
see it,
you.
Jason.
It's all about me.
It's not
Jake, it's my
for
birthday.
you.
Jake, it's my birthday.
No, it's not.
It's my birthday.
Not only is it not, but I'm telling your sister that you said that within a month of hers.
Oh, Jason, when are you watching it?
I don't know.
You want to watch it
Yeah.
next week?
I would love to.
Well,
Cool.
it's very funny. I think we're all pretty pro. I know some people have soured on Wes Anderson, and I gotta say,
Why?
fuck you. If you have, I think
don't
we're all
get
pretty
that.
pro Wes.
Well, I've seen a lot of people say that he's. The take that I've commonly seen is that his visuals and directorial chops, if you will, are still great, but people don't like the scripts he writes as much because he writes all of his own movies or co-writes them. And
Yeah,
I
I don't-
disagree. I think they're fine.
I don't get that. I can understand, like, he has such a specific, like, I don't want to call it a gimmick, but it's kind of a gimmick, like, visually. And if that's not for you, I totally understand that. And if he doesn't have, like, if your sense of humor with his doesn't align, I totally understand that. But, like, I mostly see people say that his, like, art has lost its heart and that it's become, like, weirdly corporate or whatever. I don't know. I don't see
get
that in. I
Here's
don't
the thing.
get that
I
at
think his
all.
movies. I think his movies have gotten weirder, and they are a lot more personable, and I like that. Even though, like a perfect example is what was that movie called? The one with the play in the town. What was it called again?
Oh my god.
Asteroid City.
Asteroid City.
Yeah.
Yes, like
Yeah,
Asteroid
that
City
one-
would
I
take
think
me
that's
a
my
long time to understand, but
That's
I
the
still
funniest
enjoyed it.
one.
It's
Asteroid
really
City is
fun.
my
fun.
favorite that I've seen from him. Venetian Scheme's great.
My
though.
favorite is. I still haven't seen Isle of the Dogs, but Fantastic Mr. Fox to me will always be like my
Isle of
favorite.
the Dogs is good.
Our Dog is very good.
Rushmore is my favorite. That's my favorite movie. Period.
There, I guess, yeah, never mind. Yeah, my favorite is Grand Budapest Hotel. It's my
And that's a great
favorite.
pick.
Grand
I think-
Booby Best Hotel.
So good.
He could be a fun person too. I think some of his movies are distributed by our distribution rights are at Disney right now, so
Yes.
we'd have to wait till we're done boycotting. But that could be fun to go through his filmography for this. As a side fun.
I mean,
I'd be down.
But yeah, Michael
yes.
Cera.
it's gonna be great.
Yeah, Michael Cera in Phoenician Scheme gives like one of my favorite performances of the year so far. I also wanted to recommend Materialists, Celine Song's second movie. On that note, I probably wrecked it when it came out because I think we were doing the podcast then because it was only a couple of years, like a year and a half, 2 years ago. Her debut, Past Lives, totally fucking wrecked me. Materialists came out and like it took me a little bit to like fall into rhythm with it, but once I did, totally fucking wrecked me. Absolutely very good movie, but like Celine Song, who hurt you, and why do you want to hurt other people as a result? But definitely go see both of those if you can, because they're both just very strong directorial visions. And I liked both screenplays, so I don't care about you if you didn't.
Mom saw The Materialist.
Yeah, she said she liked it a lot.
She did.
That it's one that's gonna sit with me for a long time. If you need to get a good cry out,
Matt and I were hanging out yesterday, and Mom just goes, "I never liked Chris Evans."
Well, she also did like Dakota Johnson, who's also in that, but they're both very good in this.
And she loved him in it.
Chris Evans.
Well, the thing is, here's the thing about that is she says, I don't like Chris Evans. And I'm like, why don't you like Chris Evans? And she's just like, I don't like him as Captain America. And then I just said, did you watch any other movie that starred Chris Evans besides a Marvel movie? And she said no. And I said, did you see him in Knives Out? She said no. And I said, did you see him in Snowpiercer? She said no.
I gotta stop you. She did see Knives Out. I saw Knives Out with her in theaters. She loved it. She loved him in it.
She forgot she watched Knives Out.
I would be stunned if she had seen him in a Captain America movie. Which, for the record, he's fucking. Say what you will about Marvel, he is incredible as Cap. He is perfect as Cap.
That's the thing, is she just doesn't like action movies, so I think she just saw him in it and
here's the other thing. She sees our mother, bless her soul, is a hate the face person. She sees people and just immediately off of face is like, don't like them. And that's what this sounds like. But
is that how she felt when Jason was born or when you were born?
No, it's how she felt the first time you came over.
It's my heart.
But like, I'll say this. Fuck, I lost it. Oh no, I got it back. So kind of relevant to like the topic of today's podcast though. Chris Evans worried me because he kind of seemed like he was going down the like Ryan Reynolds The Rock route of only playing himself in things. Like post being done with Cap, I always thought he was a really good actor, but then he was like, I'm gonna cameo as myself in Free Guy. I'm gonna make shitty Apple TV Plus straight to streaming movies that look like they're money laundering schemes. Like the only interesting thing in like the recent stage of his career was that Knives Out role. So for me, this was like really reassuring that he took a role like this that was outside of his usual, that he crushed it, and that was like artistically driven and not just slop.
Are you saying you didn't love the universally loved Red One?
Oh my god.
The greatest movie ever.
Wait, is Chris Evans in that?
Yes.
He's one of the main stars in it.
See, I saw that shit and I just assumed it was Ryan Reynolds because I was like, that seems like a Ryan Reynolds stick.
I am pretty sure Ryan Reynolds was too busy at the time, so they put him in as a replacement.
He was too busy filming Mint Mobile ads. All right. Do we got more Rex, or should we get into sitting on Reynolds about the movie we watched?
I mean, I have a quick recommendation.
It doesn't even have to be quick.
As well. We can talk about the movie. But I started listening to Swimming Again by Mac Miller. Very good album. If you like R&B, if you like hip hop, I recommend giving that a listen.
Beautiful music and emotions.
It's very beautiful music.
I need to listen to his stuff.
I back that, Rick. Another good one on the topic of Mac Miller. One of my favorite records of his is Watching Movies with the Sound Off.
It's a funny title.
I love the title.
I love
the album.
If you like classical jazz music, I can recommend
the B movie.
Yes, of course. But also, there's an album named Bewitched by Laufey. That's also a very good listen. If you like classical jazz singing.
Laufey? That kind of makes me think of Monkey D. Luffy, the One Piece.
Your favorite anime!
I needed to throw Sean a bone.
It's his favorite character. Gosh. And we're not even going to be able to see him in New York this year. What a shame.
Fuck Jake.
Fuck Jake.
Okay.
What an asshole.
Yeah, I'm an asshole. We're covering Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, or I guess just kind of usually referred to as Hobbs and Shaw. It's the first spinoff of the Fast Saga since the kind of accidental spinoff that was Better Luck Tomorrow. It released August 2nd of 2019. Stars Dwayne Johnson as Luke Hobbs, Jason Statham as Deckard Shaw, Vanessa Kirby as Hattie Shaw, and Idris Elba as Brixton Lore. Didn't realize that was his name. I don't know if I like that name or if I hate it. It features a lot of cameos and appearances from a lot of other recognizable actors, including Isaac Gonzalez as, I had like no fucking clue this was her character's name, but Margarita or Madam M. Cliff Curtis as, is she in sex trafficking? Cliff Curtis as Jonah Hobbs, Helen Mirren as Magdalene Queenie Shaw, Eddie Marson as Professor Andraco, Ryan Reynolds as the same character that he plays in everything, but this time going by the name Victor Locke, and Kevin Hart as himself, which is the only thing he knows how to play, and in this going by Air Marshal Dinkley. So I know, Matt, was this your first time watching this?
Yes.
Okay, interesting, because I feel like this is one you're going to have strong opinions on, knowing you.
Not really.
Really? I thought, I don't know, the way I feel like you have talked about like late period Fast, which is such a fucking obnoxious way to refer to these silly movies. I would have guessed that you were going to be like, I don't know. I thought you were gonna be maybe vitriolic towards it.
I mean, I think talking to you definitely helped because it helps set my expectations of it. Because I tried to view it more as similar to like Fast and Furious 8, which I already didn't dislike. I thought it was fine, and so like with the expectations of it being similar to 8, it just kind of it is very similar to Fast and Furious 8. And that's not even necessarily a bad thing. It's just a solid movie, fun. I think it's 9 is when I actually started. 9 is when I actually started developing like I wouldn't say like a dislike, but like a sense of disappointment from the franchise. But we'll just have to see. Also, I only watched it once, so maybe on a rewatch I'll actually change my mind.
That's fair. I just know this is another like kind of polarizing one amongst the fandom. Like everything from like 8 onward is pretty polarizing.
It definitely makes sense. I'm gonna be honest. The first like 30 minutes was not that great. It's not a great first impression for me. But it eventually got better.
That's interesting because like the first note I put down was good opening intro to Hattie and our villain, followed by a fun split screen and action scenes of our two leads. So I kind of like the start of it. It's, I don't know, I mostly the split screen stuff, but I'm also just a big fan of Hattie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I guess I can cover how it starts. So it opens in London with MI6 agent Hattie Shaw and her team attempting to retrieve a programmable supervirus nicknamed Snowflake from ETN, something like that, a techno-terrorist organization. The team secures Snowflake, but is attacked by Brixton Lore, an ex-MI6 agent and ATN operative who has cybernetic implants allowing him to perform superhuman feats, including being bulletproof. He refers to himself as Black Superman. Brixton kills every agent except Hattie, who manages to inject herself with the only dose of Snowflake before escaping. Brixton frames Hattie for killing the team and stealing Snowflake, forcing her to go on the run. Luke Hobbs is an ex-DSS agent, which we already know. Past movies, Deckard Shaw is Hattie's older brother, ex-MI6. They're informed of the missing virus, and after arguing due to their past rivalries, reluctantly agree to work together to track it down. After a brief meeting at a CIA black site at, I don't know why it gives a specific street. What? In the synopsis, Deckard goes to did you put that there?
No, I did not, but that's really funny that it does.
It says after a brief meeting at a CIA black site at 122 Leadenhall Street. And I'm like, why do we need to know that? This synopsis, I usually try to tweak them, but I just didn't do it this time. It cuts out so much of this opening like act here, but it includes the address of the black site. Anyway, Deckard goes to Hattie's apartment for info, but is attacked by ETN operatives. Luke finds Hattie, who instigates a fight with him, but Luke manages to bring her into the CIA office. Deckard arrives and informs Luke that Hattie's his sister, and the office is attacked by ETN's forces. Okay, yeah, so that cut out a lot. God, I don't really know where to start. Matt, why did you not like the start of this one?
I mean, it was nothing really against the movie itself, but it was more the impression that it was just going to be like a dick measuring contest between The Rock and Jason Statham. And I'm like,
and it is.
It is, but I thought it was just going to be them just throwing charismatic insults at each other for the entire movie. And to an extent it is, but eventually it doesn't. Like you don't like that's just like a me thing. Like I'm so sick of The Rock.
Me too.
So when I saw that, I didn't get a good feeling. But luckily I was wrong, so I can safely say that my first impressions were incorrect, and I'm very happy that's the case.
I see what you mean. There's a scene early on. It's the scene where you're introduced to Ryan Reynolds' character, which, like, at least...
Oh my god, no, I hated that part so much.
So I like the scene for a bit. So it starts off, and it's, like, Hobbs and his kid, who I know we talked, like, previously about, like, the concept, like, when they reveal in past movies that Hobbs is a single father, that added good depth to his character. And this starts off, I think, by kind of adding to that. There's this like sweet, well-acted moments, both by The Rock and by the child actor playing his daughter, of like seeing how he's kind of that Hobbs character has grown distant from his roots from Samoa and from his family, and like the impact that has on his kid, who has this like family tree assignment, and that's all like pretty sweet and like good character work. And then it ends with like them bringing in like this giant meal that's a reference to The Rock's like famous like cheat days that he posted out, and he practically like breaks the fourth wall and winks at the camera, and all of a sudden we go from this like pretty well done like intimate scene into like a meta joke, and I think that's like really emblematic of like this, both the strengths and the weaknesses of the movie.
Yeah. And honestly, I thought the movie was just going to be only that. It was just going to be like a huge meta joke, and it's just going to be, you know, like just stroking the ego of like The Rock and Jason Statham. And of course it is, but it isn't the entire movie. It does eventually like gain focus on the story it's trying to tell somewhat, and it doesn't. It makes it, you know, at least for me, like more enjoyable to watch.
I will say the one thing I do knock the movie for, in my eyes, and the one thing that just always grates on me now every time I watch this and later Fast movies, is that some of the actors just tend to play themselves. And this one is like really a problem primarily because like every actor is just playing themselves. You have The Rock as The Rock. You have Jason Statham as Jason Statham, which are things that I wanted in this anyways, but like it's still but then you have Ryan Reynolds as Ryan Reynolds. You have
Hart as Kevin Hart.
You have Kevin Hart as Why? I
don't know. As soon as he entered the movie,
it just feels like
I legit went, "Oh no!" when I first saw him appear on screen.
Well, you guys gotta understand, he's friends with Cock Johnson.
I thought he was going to be like another like buddy cop movie with Kevin Hart and Dwayne The Rock Johnson again, and I just went, "Oh
Cock
no!"
Johnson?
Huh?
Cock Johnson.
Vane the Cock.
Cock Johnson. Vane Cock Johnson.
Veiny Cock Johnson.
Veiny Cock. But yeah, Agent. Oh,
Yep.
I love him. I just it constantly grates on me every time going back to this because I'm reminded of the fact that nobody in this movie really plays anything outside of who they are, and it just feels really, the best way I can put it is uncomfortable.
I think
For me, it wasn't uncomfortable. It just felt so. What's the word? Corporate's not the word I'm looking for. It feels fake.
It makes me it makes me uncomfortable primarily because of that, because I'm constantly just asking myself of like, am I watching a movie or am I watching multiple celebrities just interact with each other? Which, again, I don't inherently hate the idea of, like, the reason why I will always give this movie more props than I will negatives is that, like, at least the people that we have at the front of this movie are charismatic and people I want to see, like, interact with each other. I think Jason Statham and The Rock together are kind of funny. Vanessa Kirby and this is great. So, like, it's fun to see that group of people together, like, interacting with each other. And I like the idea of, in terms of Fast and Furious and in terms of spin-offs that they could do, shortening down the cast to a few select characters and seeing them fully interact with each other, I think is a fun idea. And I think it's something that they could really work with a lot, because there are some characters that there's so many characters in the Fast and Furious franchise now that it's kind of like, when you see any of the newer ones, they're like extremely bloated to a degree. In terms of like the whole cast, so like bringing it back down and having like 2 characters or 3 characters from the main cast go on an adventure together and seeing them like flesh out their interactions and stuff, I think is like a really cool and fun idea to just have for a spin-off, which is why like I really appreciate the idea of what this is going for, especially since, like, I guess in this case it's going off of the 2 most bankable people that aren't the main characters in the Fast and Furious franchise. So, like, to have The Rock and Statham have their own buddy cop-ish movie is, I think, a great idea. But I think that's why I give this a lot more props, because I think that's just such a good idea, and especially something that they could work with in the future for Fast and Furious, just as a way to, like, keep it fun, keep it fresh, and to see some of these characters in a less bloated environment where they get their individual times to shine.
That's a good point, and I don't think they made like a bad pick on who to do a spinoff with, because like the Rock Statham chemistry is still strong, and they're both like, you know, complaints about them, or for me especially about The Rock aside, they're pretty good action stars. So the action in the movie is good and keeps you entertained at the very least.
Yeah, that's also the one thing I give it to, is that it's like, so if there's 2 people I want to see, especially since like the Fast and Furious franchise with the last one and like the way things have been pushed before this, I feel like this is the first one where it fully jumps into being like, we're no longer really about cars, we're about other shit now. Because this one like does not really focus on any of the car stuff anymore, outside of like a few moments here or there, and then otherwise it's really just about the characters.
Definitely the least car-centered.
It's a lot more. I don't want to say it's like character driven, because inherently, I guess to a degree it is, but like it's very also just action oriented and a lot less car and vehicle centered than the rest of the franchise. And I feel like that is like telling of where the franchise has been and continues to go. So like, but this is the one where I have to say that like it becomes extremely and obtusely just obvious that they're breaking away from that a little bit. And I don't mean that in like an inherently bad way, but that they do that.
I do think I do feel like you guys are being a little harsh on some of the Statham stuff. Like I agree that he's kind of playing like a version of himself in this, but he doesn't always do that, so it doesn't really bother me as much, and it doesn't get in the way of like the comparison of like The Rock having this nice scene, like Hobbs having this nice scene with his daughter, but it having to end in this meta joke, versus like kind of the opening of the movie does like a lot of back and forth to show where Hobbs is versus where Deckard is in their lives, and like both of them are on the same journey of realizing like the distance that's been created between them and their families. So that and Shaw's version of this is him visiting his mother in prison and kind of establishing that he hasn't seen his sister, who we haven't even heard about before, in a long time, and that there's this like literal wall between him and his mother. And it ends also in a bit of a joke with like Magdalene getting out of her chains really nonchalantly. But that's like, it's Helen Mirren, so that doesn't feel like it's like a meta joke. It's just a joke because old woman chains. So it doesn't like ruin it kind of the same way the cheat meal joke does. For me, anyway.
Yeah, I see that. And I also was gonna say, one of my favorite parts of this movie is just Shaw's interactions with his mom and his mom in general.
I will say I do love their really weird, stupid family dynamic that all of the Shaws have.
They're just all hostile towards each other.
Well, they're all hostile towards each other, but they all love each other and all are also very hostile to everybody else in a really funny way.
They love with hostility.
And that's like universal because it's played out, but like I think everybody, if you are an adult and you still have your family in your life, you probably love them to death, but also nobody but your family can piss you off as much as your family. So like it just feels like it's that, but if they were all super criminals, like weirdly relatable. All right, I'm going to kind of speak out of both sides of my mouth now a little bit. One, I'll get to the Kevin Hart stuff and my opinion on it when we get to that in the movie. But there's going to be some disagreements there, I think. Listen, Ryan Reynolds does too much in this, and I'm overall sick of his shtick. But within the confines of it working, I think it works as reasonably well as it can in this, outside of him playing Deadpool, maybe, because there's a little too much of it, but like at least it offsets The Rock, who's kind of like Hobbs has always been a down to business, like no messing around character, so at least he's like a reasonable offset. He's not in the movie that often. I was just gonna say I think some of his lines are funny.
Say they play off each other because they're yeah, I was gonna say like they play off of each other because they're good opposites, but I think the best part to me is one, I think the first scene goes on way too long, but like the post-credit scenes are fun. Because they don't, at least in my opinion, don't go on for as long as the rest of it. I feel like that's where it like shines a little bit, where you get just enough of Ryan Reynolds that it's
enjoyable,
good for me.
Yeah, I don't think any of the like his lines are funny. There's just kind of too many of them.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest. When he went up on screen, I thought I was getting a Mint Mobile ad for a second.
And you know what? If you told me that there was that happened in this movie, I'd believe you.
It very much feels like they wanted to find a way to put Ryan Reynolds in, and not that they had a character and then cast him as that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They wanted to find an excuse to bring him in.
Right, like they were like, oh, we need Ryan Reynolds to be in the movie just because why wouldn't he be? So, and because that sells tickets. So,
I'll say this though, slight credit to the movie, or at least to the movie's marketing team. This came out in 2019 when like Reynolds and Kevin Hart were both like very bankable stars, and this was the movie that led me to finally like over the hump to get into Fast, because I saw the trailers and thought this looks kind of fun. Maybe I should watch these. So I distinctly remember they're not in the trailers at all. And like nowadays, that's kind of, it's like a jump scare to see them because you're like, oh God, them again. But at the time, I'm like, I kind of respect being like, let's keep this a surprise.
that's true. And I will say, I do think part of like the annoyance of seeing Ryan Reynolds and some of the jokes with Cock Johnson, like the meta jokes, like you were saying earlier. A lot of that, I think, is worse on rewatch just because we now have the like cultural context of seeing them too fucking much and the oversaturation of them in movies. So like I think like when I the first watched this movie, I was kind of like, oh, Ryan Reynolds, whatever. And now I'm kind of like, oh, Ryan Reynolds. Like it's a bit more of an eye roll.
God damn it, Ryan Reynolds.
In retrospect, yeah.
That's a good point, yeah. Because for me, a lot of problems I have with this movie is because I thought it's just going to be more dick writing of like The Rock Johnson, and then when I saw Ryan Reynolds, I'm like, oh no. But that's not to the movie's. It's not like a criticism of the movie itself, but it's more of years and years of oversaturation of Ryan Reynolds has gotten to the point where I'm sick of his face.
Exactly.
But that's not the movie's fault. And as Sean pointed out, they aren't. I think it's Jake pointed out. They aren't as well. At least Ryan Reynolds isn't as prevalent as I thought he was going to be. You know, seeing how big of a star he is or was at 2019 still. So it wasn't as bad as I thought. That was like a jump scare because I thought he was going to be like a main character because he's Ryan Reynolds. But after like his first scene, he doesn't show up until the end. So he didn't overstay his welcome in the context of the movie. He's overstaying his welcome now though, like in anything. So
I thought about giving you a warning about the like cameos in this because I knew you would have a reasonably adverse reaction, but then I was like, you know what? They were meant to be surprises, so I'm gonna let them be surprises. And at least, like you said,
they were surprises, all right, not the good kind. Oh my god! You should have seen my face when I saw Ryan Reynolds. I had to like fight my eyeballs to stay in place so that they wouldn't roll to the back of my head. Oh my god! Like, oh god, Kevin Hart, are you fucking kidding me? Like, and he just does the same stick too. And talk about how big he is. I'm like, oh, you get it. You're small, but your ego's huge. I'm so, oh wow. So,
okay. So I also had one definitely not intended to laugh in this movie. And what probably my biggest issue with it is, I mean, I'll tell you right now, I'll say it again at the end of the episode, but my least favorite thing is the fact that they try to force a romantic subplot between Hattie and Hobbs. They have no chemistry at all.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's a scene where like Hobbs is on the phone with his daughter after he takes Hattie into the CIA right before ACN attacks. And she's like, oh, sometimes he's complaining about her, and his daughter says something about like sometimes when people annoy each other, it's because they're flirting or something. And he says some line about how he has no chemistry with Hattie. And I was like, yeah, I know. Like I laughed audibly in that moment because I was like, they clearly don't like, they're supposed to, but they have none. It's so fucking sterile. I don't know if I can think of another time that I've witnessed a like less hot relationship in a movie with less chemistry. And they're both like, The Rock's not bad in this, and I think Vanessa Kirby's great as Hattie. But there's just nothing there. There's no tension, sexual, romantic, or otherwise.
I can 100% agree with that. They have no chemistry whatsoever. The oldest scenes they try to make him look cute. All the scenes they try to make him look cute together, it just comes off as extremely generic and forced. I didn't feel anything when those two were together.
Yeah, I'm with you.
There was more chemistry between Jason Statham and that one like robber girl that he was friends with. And they had like 2 minutes together.
Oh yeah, that is such a fucking waste of Isaac Gonzalez. I don't know why they even like that. That's That's the worst cameo to me because I'm like, oh, I went, oh, Isa Gonzalez is in this, and then she's just like, isn't really.
It was really a waste of a cameo, yeah.
I don't like she's a pretty charming action star. And she's just kind of like in a scene to give them weapons and then fucks off. She doesn't even, yeah, I don't know. Like even the Reynolds and Hart stuff serves some kind of more degree of like narrative purpose or some degree of like reflection, like bouncing off the characters by being like aggravating opposites to them. But she's just like a statue. Anyway. So Hattie is kidnapped by Brixton, whom Deckard recognizes as an old colleague turned enemy that he thought he had killed. Luke and Deckard rescue Hattie and evade Brixton during an ensuing car chase. However, Brixton frames all three now as terrorists while through ATN's control of global news media. The three locate Snowflake's creator, Professor Andreyko, and learn that he intended as a method to efficiently deliver vaccines, and is what? Sorry, the writing on this fucking synopsis, I dropped the ball and didn't try to fucking fix it. But ATN wants to use it to eradicate humanity. Hattie must either be cremated to get rid of the virus while it's still dormant in her body, or have it removed via a specialized extraction device located within the ETN facility in Chernobyl. Despite Luke briefly being detained in an airport due to Deckard giving him the fake name Mike Oxmall, the three managed to travel to Moscow. And I'm not going to lie to you, the Mike Oxmall gag and them in their disguises kind of makes me laugh every time.
It gives me the stupid teenage boy giggles.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. It's definitely nothing complicated, but it hits like a certain like it hits a nerve of some kind and it just makes me like giggle.
It's stupid and it's an easy joke, but it's like, come on.
But it's so like Deckard
it's
would
a small
absolutely
dick
do that.
joke. Right, and it's a small dick joke. Like, I'm not gonna not laugh at it. It's in my DNA.
Okay, so we're on the plane scene now, which is where Kevin Hart pops up as the air marshal because the Statham basically tries to set up a situation to delay Hobbs so that he misses the flight. It doesn't work, and they start bickering back and forth over the aisle during the flight, and it's escalating. And there's some lines in there that I think are really good, actually. There's the he comes in and Shaw is kind of, like annoyed that he made it through, and he says something like, I have a secret weapon, people actually like me, which is a really good roast. And then he kind of and then he turns around and there's like an old lady next to him and he compliments her babushka, which again, and more sexual tension there than anything between him and Hattie. But they're going back and forth. He has a line about, I've saved the world for the fourth time, by the way, because I'm really good at it. That made me laugh. And I think the only thing holding you back is air and opportunity. Takes a deep inhale, and there goes the air. I think that goes unreasonably hard.
Oh, that was a good one.
And they're like threatening to fight each other in this plane aisle. Everyone else is like kind of trying to sleep on the plane because it's like a flight from Moscow to Samoa or something like that. Or something ridiculous, or to Moscow, I don't know. And that's when Hart turns around and, he's the air marshal and he's like, knock it off or whatever. And this is where you guys are going to hate me, but I think Hart is really funny in this.
For me, it's oversaturation again. I can't. Like, I'm sick of seeing his face. So when he comes onto my screen, I have a visceral reaction. And my enjoyment is gone. That is very much a me problem. But I'm so sick of his face.
I don't know if it's just me, but I absolutely despise Kevin Hart for some reason. He just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah,
I can't accept it.
I'm not a fan of Kevin Hart either, but I enjoy him in this as much as I can enjoy him in something, I'd say.
I also can't, like, I have never seen Kevin Hart in something and not been miserable the whole time he was on screen. I find him deeply unfunny. Every time I've seen him in an interview or like anything unscripted, when the Eagles won the first Super Bowl and he made an ass of himself drunk on TV, I always think he seems like an asshole. I do not find him even remotely funny. The first time I saw this, the second he was on screen, I went, ugh, this is gonna suck. I hope he's not here long. And then the scene progressed, and I was like, oh no, this is really funny. I don't. It's the only time I've not hated him in something, but I like the airplane scene is my favorite. It's just like all the jokes hit for me.
Like the entire movie?
Of the whole movie, it is hands down my favorite scene.
What?
I think, and not just the heart not just the heart stuff, but I think the bickering between Statham and Shaw is funny. I think it's in character. I think it does good character work of both building the rivalry, but also like little lines that kind of make you feel like they're starting to get a little bit more of an understanding of each other. And again, I think their chemistry is really strong. It's maybe the strongest thing about the movie is that Statham and The Rock and The Rock have chemistry.
I think that
chemistry.
I think that's the second time you've referred to him as the Statham.
The Statham. Well, and again, that's how everyone's playing themselves. I'm calling them Statham. I'm calling them Statham and The Rock instead of Hobbs and Shaw because that's just who they are in this, for better or worse. But like, I just think it's the relationship. It's funny. It's just plain enjoyable. And then when Hart shows up, I thought I was gonna hate it, and I was like, oh no! It immediately cut the tension, brought the scene kind of weirdly back to reality. I thought he played off of both of them really well. He's in it for like 2 minutes. He does not overstay his welcome.
So he does in my book.
I thought he was hilarious. I'm not going to lie. And I never like him. He's like one of my least favorite people to see in anything.
He's also one of my least favorite Eagles fans. I hate seeing him.
I hate that he's from Philly. I hate it.
I know. He brings great shame.
Dishonorable.
But also, I remember the conversation about like how the Rock Johnson, he kept talking about how
The Rock Johnson.
I think he said Dwayne.
I did not hear Dwayne. I just heard The Rock Johnson.
Say no, Dwayne.
I don't even know what her Hattie. Her name was Hattie. I'm just gonna call her Vanessa Kirby. He kept talking about how like Vanessa Kirby like
she's the only one not playing herself.
Well, pat her ass or something like that.
Can we just call them the Johnson and the Statham? I like to refer to Dwayne as the Johnson.
If he's The Rock, should Statham be like the paper or the scissors or something? Okay, bad joke. We'll move on.
Well, then Vanessa Kirby can be this. Vanessa Kirby can be the scissors. Oh, Jesus Christ, I hate this.
I don't think she's gay,
sucks,
Sean.
Jake.
I don't think she is either, but she can be the scissors, and then we can have Jason Statham gets to be paper, and The Rock is rock. It works.
Yeah, so they rendezvous with Isaac Gonzalez, who's just there because people like to look at Isaac Gonzalez in Moscow to rearm and before infiltrating the facility. They retrieve the device before escaping in a truck during the facility's destruction. There's another action scene that I really like there where like The Rock and the Statham have to go down 2 separate hallways, and it again kind of showcases how I think good they are at like pretending to shit talk each other. They have sexual chemistry. They want to fuck. Not Hattie though. So they. Oh, you know what? Speaking of fucking, when they pull up.
Speaking of fucking,
go on, Jake.
There's one. This is so stupid. This is a minor thing, but it bothered me when they pull up to Isaac Gonzalez's place. She like walks up to the Statham and starts making out with him for a minute. And The Rock and Vanessa and Hattie exchange a couple lines. It goes something like, Hattie says, "I didn't see that coming." The Rock says, "I didn't want to see that at all." And then she says, like, "Me neither." Those lines should be flipped. I feel like The Rock being the guy who's just a unreasonable Deckard hater would be like, was the one who would say, "I didn't see that coming," about the attractive woman walking up and making out with him, especially since we just got off the flight where he kept talking about how he's going to bang his sister and how Statham, no one likes him. And Hattie being his sister should probably be the first person to remark on not wanting to see him in a sexual setting at all. It just struck me as really weird that those lines weren't flipped, and it kind of reads like they just wanted The Rock to have the last line with the "me neither." I don't know. It's not a big issue, but it really struck me as odd, and I wanted to point it out.
Haha, Jonathan, you are banging my daughter.
What is this a reference to?
Hotel Transylvania.
Oh, of course.
Adam Sandler masterpiece.
Have you not seen that meme that's just going
I
around?
don't think so.
Oh dear, I guess I'm too chronically online for you all now.
I mean, I just may not have encountered that or encountered it recently enough to remember. I don't know.
I believe in relationship. I believe in incest.
What are you talking
This
about?
is worse than what Matt said at the start of the episode.
I think Jason Statham should fuck his sister.
I think the Statham and The Rock should hook up.
The Statham and the Johnson, get it right. I want to see the Johnson put his Johnson in the Statham.
Sean, what's happening to you?
I am tired.
He's degrading.
I'm degrading.
The disease is kicking in. He gave himself the virus.
It's actually the Statham. The Johnson has got to be.
Okay. So where were we? They retrieve the device. There's a truck scene. And Draco's killed by Brixton. The device gets damaged. Yeah. Okay. And then Luke. And so they talk about, should they just kill Hattie? Statham insists, no, we're not going to do that. The Rock realizes there's one person on the whole planet that he knows could fix the device, and it's his estranged brother Jonah, who's a talented mechanic. You could argue that that's forced, but I'd say you're missing the point. These movies are about family. So they get their new friend Kevin Hart to charter them a flight to Samoa. There's initial tension between him and the family before The Rock's mom is like, "Hey man, do it for your brother." So they agree to repair the device while Brixton's forces are on their way. Luke, you get some lore drop of like Luke's dad was a criminal, and the reason he was estranged is he gave up his father to the authorities. And I'm like, yeah, I'm with his brothers on this one. Why are you a fucking rat, Hobbs? Jonah agrees to fix the device, and The Rock kisses Hattie, and it's the driest I've ever been in my life. The evil tech cult shows up. That's where we're at. Can we talk about the evil tech cult? I think Idris Elba is sort of wasted in this. I think he gives like a kind of cool dynamic of like Brixton is intimidating, but also you can tell he's just like a puppet of this larger thing, which is cool. And I think it aged really well that the villain of the movie is like this faceless tech cult. But
I can agree to that, yeah.
Also, other than that, it doesn't give me a ton. And like the Brixton knowing Shaw thing was unnecessary. It's just weird exposition. But But I want to get back to that cult. I hope they end up making this a sequel because I want to see more of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like cults.
I like
Cults are
cults.
badass.
Well, it's
Cults are
just
bad.
people that like are overly nihilistic about stuff and who think a tech guy is gonna save the world is just very topical. Kind of weird, a little bit ahead of its time. I feel like in 2019. It kind of really hit me, and I want to see who the leader of the cult is. That's apparently Keanu was in the running for that, and then like just talks fell through.
Keanu?
Yeah, apparently the kids. So apparently they were originally going to have Keanu. They wanted Keanu to play the leader of the cult, but it fell through. So it's actually the cult leader voice is actually done by Ryan Reynolds.
What?
Yeah. So the
Jesus
voice,
Christ.
which is to the point of he could act if he wanted to. He's playing a different character in it. So there's some people, because at the end of the movie, the voice establishes, like, you never see this character, but the leader of the cult establishes that it has some kind of past with Hobbs. So there's some people that think that Reynolds' character is actually secretly the villain, which is possible, but I think it's a lot more likely that they just needed a voice because they didn't get Keanu.
Also, it's like digitally disguised anyway.
Well, exactly. You can't.
Throughout
But
the
like
whole
the
thing, so
performance, but he's talking in a different cadence. It's completely different, and it's like not a huge part, but it infuriates me more because I'm like, Ryan Reynolds, you could do stuff if you wanted to. Why do you insist on being a fucking mascot instead of an actual actor?
He insists upon himself.
He insists upon himself. What do you guys think of the villains, though?
It's
I mean, Idris Elba was good, but I feel like he was very underutilized.
I'm not gonna lie, like I've seen this movie before, and Idris Elba's the main villain, right? And I completely forgot he was in this movie until I started
Yeah.
watching it again.
You don't give him enough time to shine. Because you could definitely see at moments that he could be extremely of course he's charismatic, he's Idris Elba. But he could be cunning, he could be extremely intimidating, but he doesn't have enough time to establish that. So he doesn't really have a presence in this movie as much as the movie demands that he does. He doesn't deliver, and it's nothing against Idris Elba. It's mostly because he doesn't have the time to do it. They don't give him the material to make him as intimidating as he should be. Besides being him calling himself Black Superman.
Yeah, and I mean, like obviously, Idris Elba is a great actor, and it's not that he was bad in the role. The role itself didn't really give me anything to remember.
Fair enough. Coming down the home stretch, so the kind of makeshift battalion of Hobbs's family and Hattie and Deckard prepare for arrival of ATMs. They create basically an EMP to disable all of their weapons, which is also, I think, a pretty like fitting thematic climax to talk about like the over-reliance on technology that these people have versus the Shaws and the Hobbses being supported by family, by ancestry. I do think this movie, I kind of like what it does as a spinoff because it feels different than the main Fast movie. It's more like it's kind of almost like a discount Mission Impossible movie, or a superhero flick, but it does that but it still has like the heart of what the Fast movies are about, which is like this corny sincerity to the importance of family, both biological and found. And it still has that, especially in this climax. So they shut down the weapons. The Hobbs family, which is like comedically large, fights the ETN army. Jonah successfully repairs the device, and they start the virus extraction right as the army arrives. In the ensuing battle, the Samoans they win the fight, basically suffering minimal casualties. Brixton recaptures Hetty with a helicopter. Luke and Deckard bring the aircraft down. It's a good action scene, but it's kind of nowhere near my favorite of the movie. Luke and Deckard alternate attacks, taking punches so the other one can give one. In order to defeat Brixton, they tell him that the world can't be saved with genocide. ETN just kills Brixton, seeing him as a technological failure. And that's when you get this reveal that whoever leads this cult apparently has some kind of past with Hobbs. I kind of wonder if it's his dad, maybe. That's my theory. Otherwise, why do that lore jump? Well, because character development. Anyway, ignore me.
Daddy Deckard.
Yeah, he claims he knows Luke, intending to persuade him and the Shaw siblings to join him. Luke and Deckard promise to track him down. They regroup to celebrate their victory. Take a few more barbs at each other for the road. How do you guys feel about the climax? About all this? Anything from when they get to Samoa to the end?
It's fine.
The Samoa part doesn't take me out, and I don't dislike it, but it does make me feel like this movie just turned into The Rock's own thing at that point. A little bit.
It started to feel like a Hobbs origin story.
Like, I do get that it thematically works and goes with the whole family thing. I just find it funny because to me it just makes me go like, this movie just turned into The Rock, the movie. And I don't say that as a bad thing. I just say that as it feels like it went so far tongue-in-cheek that the tongue kind of came out the other side of their cheek. And again, not in a bad way. It just pushes the envelope a lot.
Yeah, fair. All fair. All right, I gather everyone's tired, so I'll keep it moving.
No.
I just don't have anything to say. The movie, it's just fine. The action is fine.
It's not that remarkable.
Yeah, that's one of the things I will say too. Is this movie is a hard one to talk about because it's just we're getting to the point where the Fast and Furious movies are all like, this is good, not the greatest, not the worst. It's just fine. And I don't have a lot of comments on them because they are just fine and entertaining. And that's where it's getting... I will have comments on the next one, that for sure.
Yep.
We are just at this weird midpoint where it's like, I'm waiting to have the movies where I have the comment. This is the one where it's like, this one's enjoyable. It's fine. It's fun. It's good. I can't talk about it that much because there isn't really anything like super positive or super negative they have to say about it. I say a lot of stupid things about it, but none of them none of them are like held in such high regard that I'm like, dang, this movie is ass, or dang, this has made this movie great. It's more just like everything equates to this movie being enjoyable and fine.
I feel like in all at least most of the past movies, it's like that you at least have that one moment where it's like, you know, whether it's them dragging the safe through the streets or, you know, driving the cars off the edge of two buildings and whatever. Like, there's always, like, some kind of moment, or at least a few moments that you're like, that was awesome, like, that you're really looking at and, like, that you can talk about in depth. Or at least, you know, get excited about. And this movie just doesn't really have that. It's all fine, but none of it's like, oh, that was awesome, that was sick, that stunt or that action scene was cool. It's just fine.
You know what? I didn't think about that. This movie really doesn't have its I guess its moment is supposed to be The Rock holding a helicopter down with just his arms which canonically makes him as strong as Captain America. I will not have anybody argue that. But it does not top anything I've seen before, and weirdly makes this movie seem like less than compared to the ones before it, because they all have something that like takes it a step further. It has its big moment, and this one's big moment is like, I've seen this before.
Right, and it's like you have moments like, you know, the road always wins, and the street collapsing, and
This one does have
Hobbs ripping a minigun off of a plane or whatever he did.
This one does have the line "genocide, schmenocide."
It sure does.
that is said in this movie. I forgot about that. And you know what? And that's the United States foreign policy. So, like, more accurate.
Hell yeah.
We get a couple post-credit scenes. Luke brings his daughter to meet her whole extended family in Samoa. Deckard and Hattie break their mom out of prison. Luke gets a call from Locke, who has broken into a laboratory and discovered a more threatening virus. Luke also retaliates to Deckard Shaw's prank, Mike Oxmall prank, by setting the police after him, but telling them that his name is Hugh Janus, which is such a worse joke than Mike Oxmall. I'm going to say that Statham wins that round. Sorry, the Statham. And yeah, that's the end of our movie. So, high points, low points, and would you recommend? No one's talking. I didn't want to start, but I can.
I would say my high points are I mentioned it earlier, but the Shaw family interactions, and particularly, I struggled saying that word for some reason. Particularly, what is it, Helen Mirren, that plays their mother? She's great in it. I think she's hilarious, honestly, in a very subtle way, and I quite enjoyed that. Worst part is, honestly, I don't know. It's just probably that it's just unremarkable, which is, I think, the worst thing something can be. Which makes it sound like this movie's worse than it is. It's not that bad. It's a decent movie. I'd recommend it if you like Fast and Furious and just want to watch all the movies, or if you just like dumb action movies. It's pretty good at that. Just beyond that, it's, I don't think it's like you don't need to watch it. So I'll give like a half a Rick.
I feel like that's fair. This movie isn't really... It's not really the best at anything when it comes to the Fast franchise. It doesn't really have very memorable moments. And honestly, for that reason, I would say it's just up to you. Like, I know that's like a little bit of a cop-out answer, but it's just a movie in which you can watch it if you want to, but you're not missing out if you decide not to. I can't say it's going to be like a bad decision to watch it, but you won't miss much if you don't watch it. So I'm just stuck in the middle.
I recommend this movie. I think it's fun and enjoyable enough. I think there's nothing that's inherently really bad about it. Nothing inherently that's like fantastic. My favorite parts are definitely seeing the character interactions and it having like a smaller scale in terms of cast, and seeing that fill up more of the time and and seeing those characters interacting. My negative is more that like I said before, it's my negative is mostly that the actors are acting as themselves, and also the cameos take me out of it so far. It just it gives me this gross feeling. But yeah, I still recommend it all the same. I think it's still a fun and enjoyable time. I think it's solid for what it is. Solid brainless action movie.
I kind of agree with pretty much everything that's been said so far. Negative out of the way first. Yeah, some of the humor is in that Marvel style that I'm just kind of sick of, poorly timed, whatever you want to say about it. More works than doesn't, but there's certainly some issues there. Like Sean said, the cameos are a bit much. If there's one word that describes this movie, it's probably gratuitous. It's definitely an ego project for The Rock, but yeah, I mean, I already said my least favorite thing is just the forced romantic subplot between Hattie and Hobbs. Highlights though is, yeah, I think more of it works than not. The action's really good. The hand-to-hand stuff in particular is actually probably franchise best. I laugh a good bit. I am never bored at any point. At no point at all during this movie am I bored. Maybe that's just because it's cheap overstimulation. I don't know, but like, this is nowhere near my favorite Fast movie, and it's also probably the easiest one to watch. Because it just requires, this is both a compliment and an insult. It requires the least of you of any of them. I already said my favorite scene was that plane scene, much to everyone's disbelief. But I kind of ironically, my favorite part of the movie is the introduction of Hattie, who plays little to no role in that scene. I think she's a great character. I think Vanessa Kirby plays the character really well. I hope we get to see more of her. I just hope they ignore the Hobbs romance stuff if they do bring her back. Just pretend that didn't happen. But yeah, she's easily the best like new character for me. And introducing a new character of that importance in a spinoff could be weird, but I really like her. I want to see more of her. And I do overall recommend it, like, but with like kind of like all the guys said, with some minor caveats. If you like the Fast movies, but by this point in the saga, you're kind of feel like it's lost itself, and you want to keep up with like the mainline stuff. So far, nothing from this movie has been followed up on. You can absolutely skip it if it just does not seem like your cup of tea, if it seems like it's the direction you don't want Fast to go in. That said, I overall really enjoy it still. So, and I was kind of worried that it would age worse for me than it did. So I would mostly say if you've watched all the Fast movies to this point and you're still having a good time, watch it. I would say if you like action movies but you haven't really watched Fast, watch it. You can kind of watch this one mostly on its own. There's some stuff you won't get, like how Hobbs and Shaw know each other originally, but like Sean and Jason and Matt all said, it's kind of just a mindless action movie, so you'll still have fun. It's a good movie to just kind of have a good time with. But other than that, like, this isn't changing any minds. No one's gonna watch this movie and be like, "Oh, I get it now." So yeah, that's all I got.
I get it now.
Oh, Sean got it now, guys. It took to Hobbs and Shaw, but Sean figured it out.
It's about family.
Whoa, oh, man, I gotta run it back. I gotta find all the hidden clues. It's really subtle with its theming.
I couldn't tell. This is eye-opening to me.
So thank you to Alofett, ALOFETT, for the artwork. Thank you to Jason for the music.
Did the music. You could follow the Upsides PA on Instagram, the Upsides on SoundCloud. Follow my band, Faraday Band PA, on Instagram, for which I drum. We're working on stuff as well, so
Look forward to Spider Claw.
Yeah, man, Spider Claw. It's coming.
Coming soon.
Yes, I am.
Work for it yet?
That's none of your business. You're not in the
band. Follow Culture Illiterate, Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, subscribe, leave reviews, leave comments, likes, whatever. All the things you do on the various platforms, the more you do, the better it is for us. _pod.
Send us your hate mail. Send us your hate mail.
Yes, hate mail you can send to cultureilliteratepod@gmail.com. Hate comments or whatever's, if we have a social, it's @illiterate_pod. Questions, comments. You can also praise us. I have a praise kink. Oh man, I had a good joke and I totally forgot about it till now, and it's too late. Okay, I'm not even gonna say it. It's too late. So next episode,
You're gonna have to wait to listen to the joke in the Walter cut.
No, yeah, I'll say it. I'll say it after we're finished, and only put it. Subscribe to the Patreon for Jake's joke that he'll probably be the only one to find funny. Next episode, we return to the mainline Fast movies with another insanely named one, F9: The Fast Saga.
9.